Hello and welcome to Clamp, the Creating, Living, and Making podcast. I'm your host, Grant Alexander, and today I'm joined by Morley Kurt.
Hello.
Maker Mackie.
Hello.
And we have a special guest, Jessy Ratfink from the wonderful site Instructables.
Hello.
Hi. So, in case people don't know who you are because they haven't been on Instructables and seen you comment on half the posts that are out there, how about you give everyone a little intro into who you are and what you do?
I am Jessy Ellenberger. I go by Jessy Ratfink on Instructables and online everywhere. I am a community manager with Instructables. I've been working with them for almost 9 years. It'll be 9 years in March. And so I am one of the very few people that run all the contests and do the social media and keep the site friendly for everybody.
Very fun. Well, since you're already talking, how about you say what's in your clamps this week?
Oh gosh. So the only thing that I have been working on is picking out embroidery floss, which is not very exciting, but it's for a pretty cool project. So there is I don't do any custom embroidery work for the most part, except for one lady. And it's a Christmas tablecloth, and everyone every year signs it. We've been doing it for 5 years now. And She has like between 11 and 12 people at the table every year. So yeah, for her last 5 years of Christmas, they have a tablecloth that I've hand embroidered for them so that they can keep all of the signatures of the kids as they're growing up. And it's been really fun to watch them grow. Cool. So yeah, that's all I've been working on.
That is such a cool idea. It's like, I really wish that we had that for me growing up.
Yeah, I know. It's just, I don't even know the children, but I get kind of teary-eyed seeing how nice their handwriting is now. Like, it used to be so huge and bubbly and wonky, and now it's like, oh, they're doing cursive now. They're fancy.
That's great.
Well, Grant, do you guys have do you have a height measuring wall, like for Fletcher?
Yeah, I built like one that we hung up.
Nice.
It looks like a ruler or whatever, yeah.
That was like so many memories in our garage growing up because it's like all 4 kids. I think we did the pets as well at some points, and you have all the kids' handwriting.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had one of those growing up, and one day I went back to my house, and my dad painted over it.
No.
And I just went, really? Like, you couldn't have, taken a picture at least? I don't know. Anyways, yeah. So that's why I made up ours like a separate thing. Because if it was, that's what's nice about doing the embroidery is that it keeps it forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you move house and stuff, you can take it with you.
Yeah.
Well, so Morley, what have you been? Thank you, Jessy. Morley, what have you been up to?
So last week I got a cordless brad nailer, and I was so excited to use it. I really wanted to start nailing stuff together. So as I was falling asleep, as I do, I was just thinking about projects to do with it. And I was thinking a lot about spiraling wood. And I had an extra 1x2 from another project. So I figured out that if I cut it into 6-inch pieces, I would have the perfect amount of wood for 2 stool legs. So I built this fun little stool with the legs are spiraling pieces of 6-inch lengths of 1x2. And then the top is this beautiful piece of 3/4 inch Baltic birch plywood. And I tried something new, which is that I stained the top with India ink while masking off the edges. And since the plies are so thin, it makes this super clean border between the exposed edges and the top. And once I put finish over it, it's this super cool finish. It's just like Adam said in the comment, it almost looks like a laminate on top. And definitely gonna try that.
Very confusing thumbnail.
Yeah, it's a bit of an optical illusion.
It looked like 2x4s, and then I thought it was laminated plywood, and it wasn't.
Yeah,
it's all trickery.
It looked like a giant table in the thumbnail.
Exactly. It looked like 2x4 legs. Each little piece was a 2x4.
I guess I'm lucky I saw it with the cat for scale then, because I did see that.
Yeah. Eden's so funny. I obviously took the pictures with Penny as well. And she's like, you have to make that the thumbnail. I was like, I guess like it's always like a balance, right? Because it's like, well, I want to show off the thing, but like, do I want to make it more fun? Anyways, it was a good project. I'm really happy with it. I'm now working on, speaking of Penny, a project for Penny. I'm doing this sort of like marquee sign cat bowl stand. So essentially taking pieces of the same Baltic birch plywood, stacking it, and then every other layer is inset a little bit. And in the sort of track that's created by the inset plywood, I'm going to be putting on 3D printed letters that spell out her full name, which is Penny Penelope Poopy Pants Kurt Schwartz.
Wow.
Oh my God.
So it's really fun. It's going to look super cool. Like it's kind of hard to describe in words. But essentially like the black letters are on this like the striped background of the Baltic birch edges.
Nice.
So I'm really pumped with how it's going to look. Just finish that up probably.
That is an awesome name.
Yeah. That is what I'm working on this week. What about you, Adam?
Let's see. I just been finishing the plans for my workbench that I'm hoping to start in the next couple of weeks, if I can go get the wood, and editing my latest video, which will hopefully be out before this episode comes out, but knowing me, probably not. I really just got to do the voiceover and add that in, and it's pretty well done. Let's do some sound stuff, but yeah, and that's the what did I call it? A garden cart.
Oh yeah,
Thing that
Yeah,
I made,
you talked about that a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So finally getting that video done.
Well, you'll have it done perfectly in time for spring in the rest of the world.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Well,
That's pretty much it. All digital.
yeah, fun. I've also kind of been more, not working as much out in the garage. It's been a little cold here, and it's just, with the shortened days, it just makes it feel like when the sun goes down at 4:00, you really don't feel like going out and doing anything. But I have been working on honing my leathercraft skills, and actually is something I've been learning from Morley and from Ethan Carter, and also from Jessy Ratfink herself.
Yeah.
Because one of the very first things when I asked Morley, I was like, "How do I thread a needle for leathercraft? I don't understand." And he pointed me to a Jessy Ratfink original on Instructables on how to thread a needle.
Yeah,
But,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's one of the things that it's so nice to have and be part of a great community like this. And Instructables is a great community. So this is the time we're going to talk about this kind of positive community that Instructables has, and other places. We're not going to limit it to Instructables, but we might get a little bit of Instructables heavy on this episode. So tell us a little bit about how long you've been at Instructables. I know you already mentioned it, but how things have maybe changed and maybe made it into a place that's more positive, or trying to promote more positivity.
Well, so we have been around for 15 years now. We just hit our 15-year anniversary in August 2020, and I've been posting on the site for 14 of those years and working for 9. So I'm a pretty long hauler for Instructables. And I would say, really, the biggest change is we got bought by Autodesk. Actually, the first day that I was working there was the day that we got bought.
Wow.
That was pretty exciting, getting to go to like a fancy corporate party in San Francisco for my first day at work.
Okay.
It was a lot to take in, but since they've had us, we've been able to get a lot of partnerships. We've been able to go ad free and not have to worry about any sort of revenue streams, which has allowed us to focus more on education, which I think is really nice. And I really think that is kind of like the direction that we're going at this point, whereas we used to be sort of just a very weird DIY website back in the day where people could post absolutely anything. We're now sort of getting more tailored. I feel like our best performing content overall is the workshop and circuits. Like those outperform everything. And so we've just kind of kept going in that direction throughout the years.
Yeah. So you mentioned going ad free, and one of the things I know when I joined on Instructables and I got like my first featured content, I got this like pro. You get 1 month free of pro, and I Googled everywhere looking for what that meant. And it meant nothing at that point because ads were gone on the site. No, and now you've removed it. But even though I had still months and months that I needed to cash in of my pro membership.
Oh, I have hundreds of years of pro membership. Like the amount of, because I think I have 544 Instructables, and almost all of them are featured. So, oh my God, yeah, I had hundreds of years of pro membership left when we got rid of that.
It's like when people give me Reddit Gold. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Why are you spending money on this? I don't think we got it through. We grew so fast. Like I don't think we realized how quickly we were gonna blow up.
Wow.
Totally. Well, it's good to know that it really does mean nothing, and I don't have to worry about how I didn't spend all of my gold or whatever.
We had big dreams for it in the beginning, and there were some perks that you could get with it. Like, I don't know if any of y'all remember, but back in the day, we used to run a bunch of like sponsored contests, and so those sponsors would also offer discounts to our pro members for a little bit. So like there were things in the beginning, but as we grew and just kept taking on more stuff, that sort of fell away.
Well,
I remember when I first signed up for the Prime membership, the biggest thing was that I could download the PDFs.
Yeah. Everybody wanted that. I always thought it was so weird because I just do the print and save as PDF, but turns out there's a lot of people that don't know how to do that. So we just
I was going to say, I wasn't that clever back then.
That's funny.
And probably too, just like the ease of having like a properly formatted page rather than trying to like play with it yourself. Like that little bit of like user experience, people really like.
Prints a PDF, just going to literally just copy the website, not have an actual PDF plan thing.
Yeah, it's definitely much nicer.
So how many Instructables posts are there on Instructables?
So
approximately.
As of like in December, we got little 15-year gift packages from some of our coworkers, and they included a little letter. And as of then, we had 325,000 Instructables. Which is kind of amazing to me. It doesn't seem like it should be that big. And then also those have 6 billion views, which blew my mind. So
that's crazy. And every single almost at the population of the world.
Yeah, it's so wild. Well, and we have 14 million registered members too, which also blew me away. I didn't realize we had that many. So yeah, that's pretty wild. But the amount of authors, like the people who are actually publishing Instructables, that's 110,000. So like it's a really small, special group of people that actually are publishing stuff.
It's crazy to me that you got so many more people who are willing to sign up for an account and then don't make maybe they're all waiting for a nice full-time first-time authors contest to come around.
Maybe. Yeah. I always wonder, like, because sometimes people will sign up and they won't leave a comment for like 6 years. And it's sort of like, oh, wow, what happened that caused you to do that? And normally it's like they're upset about something, but...
You probably find a lot of people sign up too because you have to be a member to vote.
Right.
As well. So a lot of people probably sign up just to vote. I know my auntie signed up just to vote for my thing.
That's true. Yeah. And voting used to be so much bigger. Like we used to push it. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of those people are just, I got to vote for my friend or my family member.
Well, that alone is probably one of the factors that makes like Instructables like a strong community, is that like the contests are voting based rather than panel based, and it makes people feel like they can be like directly involved in the process.
Yeah, that is, I feel like I need to kind of like explain our voting stuff a little bit. Like, so when we moved to Autodesk, they basically informed us that community voting rigs the contest. So we aren't allowed to like only use the votes anymore, which I am kind of disappointed about. I really liked pulling from community votes, even though we had people who would cheat pretty badly, and we can see it. We can see it, everybody. I mean, I did kind of like, being able to lean on the community a little bit, especially because we do run so many contests. So now it's more of a like, we look at the votes and we can take them into consideration, but they can't be our only determining factors. So we have every week when contests close, like for this week, we have a Tinkercad like code block contest closing. So we gather all the finalists in a spreadsheet, and the 5 of us who are on the community team rank everything. So basically everything goes through 2 voting. Like they go through staff ranking as finalists, and then they go through the actual judging on the site. So it's a pretty intense process, but
so that's how something like Bodie McBoatface doesn't win every single time.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to do a sanity check.
Yeah.
Make sure people aren't winning just because of the meme.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we need a personal touch for everything to make sure.
So there's 2. A lot of people don't realize there's 2 rounds. There's the voting and the judging. So the judging's then done. I'm one of the judges. I'm a judge. If you guys would like to win an Instructables contest, you know where to send the money, because I'm sure that my single judging will change everything. But it's also community judged.
Yes, yeah. And that honestly is one of my favorite parts about it, because for me, I have a hard time just choosing finalists. And so actually choosing the winners, I just want to give a prize to everyone, because a lot of times we have so many more entries than we do prizes. And so, yeah, being able to have the actual community weigh in on that is great. And for most contests, we get a significant amount, I would say between 20 and 50, like community judges, along with our, our staff judges. So I think it evens out pretty well, really.
Yeah. So I'm curious to know, with the voting, how much does that actually influence who gets pushed to you guys for the finalists and stuff? Because I'm curious as to, like, if there's a couple of days left on a contest, I feel like I shouldn't enter because I haven't had the whole contest for people to vote for me.
Oh, no, you should absolutely enter. So
totally.
we are, everyone on staff is, I would say we're almost to a neurotic level of looking at every single entry. So even if you enter in that last day, like, we're going to read your Instructable and look through it. So it's, yeah. I mean, voting is, I would say it's probably like the bottom. Like, our staff votes end up kind of overriding that a lot, because there's a lot of sort of discussion happening about the entries all the time and wanting to have a nice variety of finalists. Because I don't know if you guys know, but Iron Man arc reactors, the coolest thing ever, and everyone's made one.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many projects that sort of get really hot, or like the Child from The Mandalorian, any sort of like the Child product.
Yeah.
Oh, we had so many of those last year, so it's like, yeah, lots of weird.
You can't have your entire felt-based thing to be Baby Yoda's. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If we had a fiber arts contest and it was only Baby Yoda, people would riot. So there's so much like weird nuance that happens behind the scenes.
I also know that a lot of people log in on the last day, because on the day that a contest ends that I've entered into, I get a bunch of new subscribers on Instructables. So I know there are people in the community go, I'm not voting until the very last day, because I don't think they realize that they can vote twice. Like, you can vote for multiple people. Yeah. Right. It wasn't clear until I clicked on something by accident and then clicked on the right thing and I went, oh, they're both voted. Great.
That's good feedback, actually. That's good to know.
I did not know you could vote for 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can vote for as many as you want.
You can vote for them all, and then it's completely useless for you to spend all that time.
Yeah, and then I look at the votes and go...
You can vote for everyone except for the one you don't like.
Yeah. Well,
that's really good to know. I didn't know that.
But I think that's something that helps grow community is kind of giveaways. In all the different communities, every time I've seen people kind of grow this fun community, they want to give back, and I feel like that's like, it's a little different with a contest, but it is a giveaway. I don't live in the States, so I don't get to actually win any of the actual prizes when there are ones. Instead, I get Amazon dollars, which is actually usually more useful.
Yeah,
I'll say that personally.
We had so many issues with international shipping.
Yeah, I bet. But the Instructables swag is amazing. Like, my favorite T-shirt's the Instructables T-shirt. My little book.
Yay!
My little Instructables book that I carry sometimes everywhere.
Yeah, we have amazing designers. Our designer Elena is the one who does all of our swag, and she is like, she's got a very discerning eye. I love her. She orders samples of everything, and she's very into it. She's also an Instructable super fan, so it's a good fit.
Yeah.
But one of the cool things about Instructables that it seems to make it like sort of a unique community is that it brings together like these disparate maker communities. Like we've talked about this before. Like there are so many subsets within like people who make stuff. There's knitting, there is coding, there's like Arduino, woodworking, 3D printing, leatherworking, like all of it. And I think like platforms like this where you can find a bunch of different things is like a great source of inspiration. I mean, it's how like a lot of people like use Pinterest, right? Because you can make these, like you can have a home feed that is a big variety of things and things that like you may not, you're not just surrounded by people doing a similar thing as to you. Whereas if like you're on Instagram, it can be very difficult to like curate a feed of things that like inspire you because there's like a lot of noise and you might follow a lot of people that are very similar to you.
Yeah, I definitely love the variety, and I think that's honestly why we've continued to be a community as long as we have, is just because there's so much stuff on it. I mean, there's so many different things that you can explore. I don't know. And I think that the way that we have our community team set up, like we have a couple of members on the team who are really heavy into workshop and circuits, and then we have me and Nicole who are more sort of grannies with the cooking and the crafting and sort of the traditional handicrafts. So I don't know. I like having a balance of everything.
Yeah, it's one of the things I like about the contest is that like you have some contests that are specific to certain things, and then you have other contests like first author and stuff that it could be literally anything. So if you want to, you can go through the contest and go, you know what, I'm not interested in sewing, but I am interested in this and can look through that. Or you can go to the one that's anything and something might catch your eye that you wouldn't be expecting to see. I think that's really good.
Yeah,
and
I love them.
I also really like how you guys are really open about people putting stuff into the contest. So there was a cookie contest not that long ago, and one of our friends entered. She was like, I don't know if I should enter, and she did, but it was clay cookies. So they weren't actual cookies. I'm not sure. I can't remember if she actually won a prize or not, but she got accepted into the contest, and she didn't even think she would because it was clearly a cookie contest. But
yeah, we really do try to keep it like as open as possible. We just really try to keep it at like, you got to make something, because we have a lot of kids who like do screenshots and like take from other Instructables and will like cobble together this like Frankenstein contest entry. But for the most part, people are really great about it.
yeah.
Do you get much like plagiarism of people?
Yeah, it's both in text and photos. A lot of people like to go to YouTube and just screenshot videos and then turn that into an Instructable. We have new users who see people who have won contests and just copy paste that Instructable into a new one and post it and hope it'll work for them. Like, yeah, it's always interesting the different ways that people copy.
I know that doesn't work because I tried to do that to my own project and it wouldn't let me do it.
You tried to just remake your own project?
I tried to remake my own project to put it in a different contest and it wouldn't let me do it.
That's the thing about having a small team is like we see everything, and I don't think people realize that.
So you guys say you see everything. Do you literally have someone review every single post before it is made public?
Not every single post, but we do review first posts just to catch spam.
Okay.
So, and we catch a lot of it, like, so much spam. And then, we have, of course, like content flags. So like for words on the site. So, if somebody's cussing up a storm or saying something like really inappropriate, that will be caught as well. So we can review it before it goes live. But yeah, we just have
assuming,
a few
pictures
filters.
and stuff are auto scanned.
So pictures are not, and that is actually, we have done, I would say really well, better than any other website. Like I have not been subjected to stuff that I was subjected to on like moderating the IGN message boards, for example. Like our community has been really nice. A lot of times, like the only weird thing we'll see is somebody might like upload an I made it and it's a strange selfie of themselves, or I don't know, like a GIF. So it's not too bad.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you're like, that sounds good. I don't know what to say about that. But I'm surprised that not every single one is reviewed, because I feel like you guys are looking at every single post because there's like a comment from you or Nicole, which is Penelope Boldnick, if you are on there. There seems to be a comment on, wow, that's all great, or something very positive from you guys on every single one.
Yeah, it's not like every Instructable, but if we see something where we can tell someone has sat down, they've put in the time, like I want to make sure that they know it's appreciated. And a lot of times if you seed with like one comment, other comments will start after that. So it's just sort of another way to make people happy.
Totally.
Sounds like Grant's salty that his posts keep getting declined or something.
I've never had a post decline. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I feel like he's always featured. You're kind of one of our star new authors.
I totally thought that everyone just got featured. I thought featured meant they'd reviewed your content and like been like, you're good to go, right? Because every one of my Instructables has been featured.
I've got to admit the same thing, because I've put out like 3 Instructables and every one of them got featured. I thought, this just must be normal.
No, you guys are just awesome. That's all. There's so much stuff that goes unfeatured, so you guys are killing it.
All right.
This is kind of interesting. So this conversation is making me think about moderated versus unmoderated communities. And I think like in the time we're living in right now, I think like freedom is great. And I think people obviously value it for many, many reasons. But I think we're starting to see some of like the negative sides of completely free for all unmoderated communities that don't have a mission statement. Yeah. And I think I love Reddit. Like I get a lot of value out of Reddit, but in some of the larger communities that may just kind of like whatever, do it. And there's rules and whatever, but it's a bit of a free for all. It can breed like a lot of cynicism, a lot of just like commenting to be like, have a little quip. And I think there's something to be said for like communities that are largely positive also do tend to be the ones that are moderated. Whether you like that or not, like in terms of like freedom, because I think you just need a bit of like a guiding force a lot of times, because people left to their own devices will devolve pretty quickly.
Oh yeah. I mean, I read horrible comments all the time. Like it's something that does get posted on Instructables, but it's not something that we allow to stay on the site in a lot of cases. Cause I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, we also have a flag feature in our comment section. So it's not used as much as it used to be. But back in the day, I mean, people would just flag anything they didn't like that people were saying. And now it's a little more like, oh, this is actually insulting or, actually terrible. But people do still use it, and with our keywords, we catch a lot of the sketchier stuff that people say to each other.
Well, and I think that's something that, like, thinking about comments, it's something that can either make a community good or make a community bad. And I think by just even having a statement when you post on Instructables, it basically says "Don't be a jerk." So
yeah, we have a be really nice policy.
Right, but just by having that, people check themselves first. Hopefully,
a little. Most of the time.
Right, but if they also realize that if you post something nasty that it's going to get removed, that there's a good chance that they're going to stop posting there.
Yeah, it's true. I think we have run a lot of people off with our general positivity. They don't like not being able to yell at each other, especially the circuits sections.
Yeah, I'm curious though, like, because you've talked about how much growth Instructables has seen recently. Like, has it been really challenging to like continue to moderate the community when like there's like so many new people and so many new posts? Like, I imagine you have to integrate like machine learning and things like that at a certain point.
Honestly, right now it's still mostly manual. I would say it's tough just because we aren't able to give a super personal touch to everybody anymore. We have so many more people who are posting who are not quite completing their Instructables, or maybe they're a student and it's just not a fully finished product, or I don't know. We have a lot more people posting, but not necessarily finishing them or having them up to the level. So there's not as much stuff that I guess requires top level attention. It's just a lot of noise sometimes.
That makes sense.
I think it's also, we expanded our sign-in options. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but we expanded it so that you could use like an Autodesk account. You could use a Facebook account. You could sign in with Twitter. So there were all these new ways to sign up on the site.
I did notice that because I just created my account while we were talking.
Yeah, so that I think has like ballooned everything a little bit, just because it's easier to get in the door now.
Right. Well, and there was a global pandemic that kept everyone at home.
Oh my gosh, for sure. And boy, howdy, have they been arguing on the mask Instructables and the UVC sanitization Instructables. So people have been very, very, very active, for sure.
I can only imagine. I wish they'd be active on my posts, but, that's fine.
You got to do some more controversial projects, Grant.
Yeah, I literally think about doing like something like a like mask or whatever, and I just go, I don't want to deal with those people. Like,
we would.
I was looking at the Instructables YouTube, and there was a saddle stitching video, and I think it was you who did and I just looked at the comments, and I just went, like, all this person's, you're just doing like a stitch, and people are like getting all up in your business, and I'm like, I don't know if I ever want to deal with that. Like, I don't know.
It's
that's why I like Instructables.
That is why I love Instructables. Is like it is very friendly. It's very contained. Like, we try to do that sort of on our social media. Like I try to do that on Instagram and Twitter as best as I can. Facebook is a Wild West. We do not even Facebook and YouTube. We're just like, whoop, you're out there and doing your thing.
Throw it out and shut your eyes.
Yeah, exactly. It's just too much. People are very negative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, like, I think you have to kind of, once you start posting to places that are going to have an amount of inherent negativity, you need a sort of like a strategy going into it. Like, I've started just ignoring most negative comments, because I find that if you try to justify things, like, a lot of times people are just looking for a reaction, and it's really like not worth the energy. Or just say something like ridiculously positive, or instigate. But like, there's a lot of routes you can go, and I find that sometimes the best one is to just like not say anything.
It's true. And I don't think people realize social media moves as fast as it does. Like, people forget about things so quickly.
Yeah.
I think it really helps that Instructables is its own thing. Like, I feel like people aren't going to go to Instructables if they're not into like the making and DIY and all that sort of stuff. Whereas like Facebook and that could be literally anyone.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why the community is like it is because you wouldn't go there if you're not interested.
It's true.
It's a great point, Adam.
Big barrier.
I have them sometimes.
Every once in a while, when Adam speaks, it's usually pretty good or not so much. So one thing I really like about Instructables is that even just the mindset. I was looking at a 2014 interview with Eric Wilhelm and Christy Kaneda. I don't know how to say her name.
Canada.
They didn't say it.
Yeah.
Is it really Canada? Oh, God damn it. It's like my country.
Well,
but it's spelled differently.
Anyways. I'm pretty sure it's Canada.
That makes sense. Anyways, it was one of the things that Christy was saying was that that they were talking about the cross kind of platform. Like she was talking about someone on Etsy was selling something on Etsy, but linked the Etsy post to Instructables to show how much work actually goes into it. And they're okay with that because the people willing to do a work aren't the ones who are going to buy it.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Or they,
yeah.
So I find that's great. One, most companies would be like, no, stay on my platform. Don't leave it. Right.
Yeah.
But they were like, no, go over to Etsy. Great. Go to your YouTube video. Great. Right. We're not a video hosting service. So if you want to put up a video, great. I think that's
exactly.
a really,
I think that's one of our strong points too, just because we are always encouraging our authors to try to find ways to monetize themselves. Like, it's not something that we've ever discouraged. Like, you can use the Amazon affiliate links on our site. You can post all the YouTube videos you want. Like, as long as you have something there that is of substance, like, we are happy to have it. Like, as long as someone will learn from it, go for it. So, because that is definitely a way that I made all the money that I ever made on Etsy, I think was through Instructables, just because people saw my work.
Totally. All the money I've made on Amazon, I can track back to Instructables.
Oh, gosh,
I put it up in my YouTube video. They get no links. I make an Instructables post. Boom. Everyone's clicking on my Amazon links. I'm like, this is amazing.
I need to do some more Instructables.
Yeah,
yes, you do.
It can get really lucrative. Like, so I can't do Amazon affiliates here in Colorado, but when I was in California, I was making $300 to $500 a month Amazon affiliates just from my Instructables posts.
Wow.
I mean, I was posting a lot. Like I said, I do have 544 projects, but I mean, that's a lot of money just for writing tutorials.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. You have 87 million views.
Oh, I didn't know it was that many.
Yeah.
I thought it was 85.
Million views.
Yeah, million. I know, it's overwhelming.
That's crazy. That's an insane amount. Like, that's not a...
I was actually
even compute.
I was beating Paula Deen in the Google search rankings for sweet potato fries for a while. Wow. And that was Eric, who you were talking about earlier, who was like the owner, the guy who sort of started all this. He was my boss when I first started. He used to introduce me as the sweet potato fry girl because everybody knew that Instructable. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of curious about that because from clearly considering I just signed up for an account, like I have not been active in Instructables for a long time. And when I was active on Instructables, it was when I was like trying to learn a very specific thing. I would search I don't know, like how to change the oil in your Hyundai Accent sedan or your Hyundai Accent hatchback. It's like, it shows you where all the things are. Someone's taking pictures and tutorials. And it seems like it has evolved in content and scope a lot over that time. Like, do you feel like it has changed a lot from like Eric's original vision for what it was, or like how it all started?
Honestly, I don't think it has.
You unmuted yourself on Zoom.
It's all good.
I see it.
It's just like an angel sneaking down.
I saw it. I think I had a flashback to work and was like, oh God, I'm muted. Okay. So anyway, what was I saying? Oh, but I don't know.
The best part about that is no one's going to hear it but us.
Yeah, it's just a mess.
Okay.
But no, I don't think that Instructables has really changed much from what we first started out to do. I would say the only thing is that we're less risque, and we do think more about, is this kid appropriate now? Whereas back in the day, we were just sort of like, this is fun, this will get clicks. Or, this is a really interesting way to do something. This is a very dangerous way to do something that is also fun. Like, yeah, we were very free-willing back in the day, and now we've reined it in. But I think the general idea of just learn to make anything is still there, and I think that's still why I'm here.
So when does the Not Safe for Work version launch?
Oh my gosh. Oh, I wish we could bring it back. There are so many private Instructables and unpublished Instructables.
So how can people find that? Is there special Google search terms they can use? No.
As far as I know, there's no way for them to find it. We hope. Yeah.
All right. Well,
So
that's a
Grant, here's what you
challenge.
do. You download this browser called Tor.
Join the onion.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know who comes up with the contests, and
So that's the five of us. So the five of us who are on the community team. It's me, Penelope Bolnick, Seamster, Randolfo, and Stump Chunkman. Stump Chunkman. Wow, it's really hard to say that out loud. I always read it. I don't say it. So yeah, it's the five of us, and we have an old forum topic, which is like suggestions for contests. So we use that, and we also kind of look at what's popular right now. So if something is blowing up, we tend to try to run something for that. And then we just have classic contests that we run every year, like the metalworking, the woodworking, the first time author. So we just sort of have like seasonal contests that we always put in. But yeah, it's really just the five of us sort of sitting down, looking at what we've run, what did well, what the community wants us to run, and then trying to plan out a calendar from there.
So you've mentioned the forums, and so just because I know a lot of people used to go to that particular link and it's now dead, but and all the forums are basically shut down. So it seems like there's some like changes coming down in Instructables.
So
Is there anything you want to say about that?
Well, so those have been years in the coming. I don't know if you guys remember our Q&A section.
No.
So, okay, blank faces, yes, right. And that's exactly why we got rid of it, because no one was using it. It was sort of like an Ask Jeeves style, sort of where you could put anything out, and it kept the forums going, I would say, for a long time. But it really petered off in the last couple years, and they just weren't being utilized. I don't know. I'm not really sure what happened, honestly, because it was something when I first started in 2006, I would say from probably 2006 to 2009, I posted in the forums every single day. And there was a huge group of people that did. And it just sort of died off, and it never came back. And I'm not sure if that's a bigger like problem with the internet, because I know I don't really post on message boards.
Yeah, no, I think forums as a whole in the last 10 years have sort of like petered out. I mean, I'm 23, so I feel like I've never really posted in a forum except when I was in high school, and there was this.
Oh, I feel so old now.
The hot.
We get that all the time.
So
my first time was on a BBS bulletin.
Yeah, right.
So New
BBS
Hampshire track talk was big when I was in high school, and everyone would talk smack about it was all under usernames and stuff. It was all anonymous, and people would be like oh, North's gonna sweep because we got these fast new freshmen or whatever. But yeah, I feel like a lot of the discussion that used to happen in forums has moved to comment sections.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'll still look up things like comparing to leatherworking finishes. Like, what is the finish of wrestling compare to Carnauba cream? And a lot of the best answers come up in forums. Mm-hmm. But I've never thought about posting in one.
Yeah, it's old school for sure.
It's funny, and that's exactly all the conversation moved to a new place that isn't searchable the same way forums are.
Yeah.
Which is why forums were so great and why I loved them was their infinite searchability, right?
Yeah.
And what people like about the internet is the infinite anonymity. And so you don't get that with forums because all your posts stay there forever.
Yeah.
Right, but I guess comment sections do as well. Comments could come up in search results.
It's very unlikely. You go try and find a search. It's not as easy to find the comment section of a YouTube video than it is to find a forum post from 2008.
So I actually have found that sometimes if I Google a very specific question, it will come up in a Reddit comment section in the same way that it would in a forum post.
Reddit is a forum.
I was going to say in Reddit, not YouTube.
Yeah. Reddit.
I have never seen a result on Google for a YouTube comment.
That's very true.
Yeah. Reddit is really a forum that has just evolved to allow garbage to sink to the bottom and also float to the top. But you know what I mean? You can downvote bad answers, where it used to be that if someone it was all time based. So someone in a forum would post the wrong answer. They'd go, what's 2 + 2? And someone would say 5, and that's the first answer. And then you'd have to read 32 comments about them arguing over why it's actually 4 to actually get to the answer. Now Reddit can just downvote that number 5, and you never have to deal with it again.
It's on the topic also of other interesting communities in the modern internet. There's also Quora, which has a lot of great answers for stuff, and I know that is a very similar to Instructables, it seems like a very intentional, created community, and they work really hard to have. I don't really know how it works, but it seems like a lot of the answers on Quora are from people of authority. Yeah,
and the same people. They have a group of really dedicated people over there. It seems because I know whenever I search stuff, it's the same 20 people you see over and over again.
Totally.
It's everyone who's gone on Jeopardy and just has a really wide-ranging knowledge.
Well, I think at this point, we should move on to Clampmendations.
Clampmendations!
I am going to actually say you should listen to the Let's Go to Court podcast. It is one of my favorite podcasts. I've been listening to them from the very beginning. It's great if you like true crime, but you don't want the super intense, gory, horrible stuff that a lot of the podcasts are. It deals a lot with the court cases, which is kind of nerdy, but I like sort of knowing the history behind a lot of the big true crime names that you hear. So yeah, I'm going to say Let's Go to Court.
Cool. Interesting choice. Well, I'm going to give someone that I feel creates a really great community, because I like to always pull my recommendations into a community based. And I didn't tell Jessy to do this ahead of time, so don't feel bad that she didn't do it. But mine is going to be JB Byers Woodworking. And the reason I'm giving him a shout out on this one, and why I think he's deserving of it, is that he does this thing called the Byers Bump. And I don't know how much time he spends looking at people's profiles, but when they get close to a milestone, he puts them in their stories and says, hey, go follow them. and he calls it, and he says, hey, hashtag buyer's bump. So I remember I was at like 990 or whatever. And, he gave me the buyer's bump, and they, generally speaking, gets you over a hump unless you've already been a buyer's bump before. And then, it's got diminishing returns every time you're in its stories. But I think it's great because of how much, how much he's willing to put it out there to try and help other people.
Nice.
How about you, Adam?
My Clampmendation this week is going to be Dirk Gibbons of Sumo's Projects. Another person who likes to push for building communities. He's done a lot of like scrapwood. He did a scrapwood challenge trying to get people to join into that. He did he's from Australia as well, so I think he likes to push the Australian makers. So he decided to do a Australian woodshop tour, which is pretty cool. Try to get all the other Australian makers to do that. So, yeah. You should totally finish your tour video. You should see my shop. It is so messy. Well, that's a great shout. Dirk's a great guy. Yeah, he is. And he has a podcast too. It's a measure twice, cut once. How about you, Morley?
Yeah, so I wanted to shout out Jacob and Jade at Other Dog Design. So in the past couple weeks, you might have seen on Instagram, people have been receiving these awesome coasters that they made that really kind of like epitomizes positive community building. So Jacob and Jade, they put everyone's logo in the Makers on Zoom Having Coffee group on coasters and sent them out. And yeah, they just are so cool. I haven't had the chance to meet Jade yet, but Jacob has been a great new friend to get to know this year. I've had lots of talks with him, and he's just a great guy. They do really cool, largely laser work, but all sorts of other stuff as well. Yeah, and they're kind of like just getting their business up and running. So definitely go check them out. Very nice people. I got more in the mail. Pretty cool. Expanding on that, actually, something we didn't talk about was Discord itself. So yeah, Discord is really good for building communities. I've been part of a couple of them, and I know Morley started Makers on Zoom Having Coffee, which is really cool. If you ever want to join that, just message Morley. He'll give you the information. And yeah, so that mixed with Zoom, we have Zoom calls every week with Makers on Zoom Having Coffee. And yeah, it's funny too. Like, I feel like Discord is really having a moment. I know like all these artists and musicians I follow on Twitter, there was like a couple months ago, they were all like, yeah, I just heard about Discord. I'm starting one if anyone wants to join it. And like, I have enough Discord notifications as it is, so I'm not trying to like get more. But it's so interesting. Like, I guess people are really like searching for these other platforms where they can have a more curated community. So a bit of a backstory with Discord is it was mainly made for like gamers. So people with gaming communities and all that sort of stuff. And people are finally starting to realize the potential that Discord has in other areas with IE making and all that sort of stuff. It's a great platform for communicating and making your own community with certain people. And I think that's really good.
Yeah, it's a great alternative to Facebook. I think that's where a lot of people have moved, like, because I know I deleted my Facebook, and so I don't have those groups anymore. So you got to find them somewhere else.
Yeah. I have not deleted Facebook because I know, like, if I post up a video on my Facebook, it's the only way my relatives will watch it.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's hard for that reason. Like, I didn't want to disconnect, but then it's like, well, I can download all my pictures, so I'm out. It's
funny. Like, I've actually started a lot of Facebook groups in my like Facebook career, and very few of them have developed into like any sort of good community. Like in university, like that was a sort of like main way for people to communicate and contact, like lab groups and things, but also just like our civil engineering undergraduate class. Like that's where like all the events and stuff were posted. So it was kind of like, it's kind of been the go-to among like my age group, but I found it like very difficult if I've tried to start sort of like geographically and interest centered ones in an area, and it's really difficult to like find people that you don't know to bring into them for ones that are that specific.
And that's why building a positive community is so difficult. Building any type of community is difficult. Like my best friend I met on Pal Talk, which was a video talk, like one of the very first video chat things. And he set up a group called at Kingston or whatever it wasn't at, but that's what it would be called today. It was like the Kingston, Ontario group chat. And I went in there and it was just him and me. And his username was 1984 Firebird, and I had a 1984 Pontiac Fiero. So we had like the like little brother, big brother like cars that were from the same year, and that's how we started. And then like I've known this guy since I was like 15 because of that, and I'm now much older than that. You know, and he was like, you know, my like best man at my wedding kind of thing. So it's like, but like you said, Morley, he would set that up every day and no one would come in. Mm-hmm. And so making a community, it's so much harder than people realize. You really need something that binds people together, and you need to have some way of kind of getting them out there, and you need to be like invested.
Yeah, you have to be so invested. Like, I think that's really one of our biggest strengths is that everyone who works for us also publishes. Like, they're very into it. Like, everyone on the community team, like, yeah, it keeps us motivated. Like, even when we do feel overwhelmed and it's very busy, it's like, we got to get through it because these people are depending on us.
Expanding on what Grant just said, I've never really thought of it this way, but that is exactly what we're actually doing. Putting out videos on YouTube, hoping people will watch it. We're trying to build a community. Like, never really thought of it that way, but that's exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So. That's you know. Anyways, agreed. It is such a hard thing to do, though.
Yeah. I mean, it's like kind of like what people are always doing. I think like with COVID, it feels very difficult to do that in like traditional ways. So a lot of us are like searching for like very like non-traditional digital ways to do that. But I like in everything that people do, I mean, like I notice it, like living in a big city, people find like all these, because like it can be a lot easier to be like self-isolated in a city. People find like ways to like have like intramural sport groups in the park or community gardens and things like that, like ways of bringing people together. There's this right down the street from us. Like, it's so interesting. There's this co-op housing, and it's like these like beautiful old buildings. They have all these community gardens. There's like, it's funny because it's like a kind of a city apartment block, but there's like a canoe in the yard. And it feels like this like super organic place. And every time I walk by it, I'm always like so curious to know more about it. And like, I mean, the people that live there are like so invested because they're also part owners. I mean, like that's sort of like how co-ops operate. I've just always been really, I'm starting to get more interested in that as well, like intentional living communities and things like that, where you get a group of like-minded people who all come together, buy a house together, and sort of like make it into a home.
I looked at starting a community garden in my neighborhood, but that's a whole story for another day because we're reaching the end here. So I want to say thank you to our patrons, especially the F Clamp level, Leroy from Big Rock Timberworks. He gets the F Clamp level shout out. If you want to sign up for Patreon, that would be great. There's a link in the thing, or you go to patreon.com/clamp. Everyone who's a patron gets access to a pre-show if we record it, and we always record an after show, and sometimes there's secret stuff, so make sure to check that out. And every patron also gets a leather keychain made by Morley, and it is numbered based on your patronage. So that's always fun. Collector's item can never be replaced unless you ask Morley really nicely. I want to thank TF Turning for the use of the theme song. And you'll hear it. If you're a patron, you'll hear Morley give his rendition of it at the start of every single after show. And other than that, I want to say thank you to everyone. I want to say thank you especially to Jessy for joining us.
Yeah, it was nice to come on.
Yeah.
Thanks a
Can you
lot.
tell everyone where everyone could find you?
So everyone can find me if you feel like dogs and political posts on Twitter at Making Jiggy, or you can find me on Instructables at Jessy Ratfink, and Instructables is everywhere under our name. So come join us on social media, and I will repost all your cool stuff.
And you have an Etsy store. You can buy cross-stitch patterns.
I am bad at self-promotion. Yes, I do have an Etsy shop. It's called Making Jiggy. I sell hand embroidery patterns. I think I have 20 of them up, and I also have a free embroidery class on Instructables to go along with those.
Oh, well, that's fun. Well, you can find the rest of us. You can find Morley and Morley Kurt everywhere. You can find Adam at Maker Mackie everywhere except for Twitter and probably not Facebook and, other
Facebook.
things. Yeah, I know you are, but you don't really post much. And you can find me at the Grand Alexander everywhere. And I'm also I'm on Twitter, but I don't actually do anything there. And you can find us collectively at the Clampcast everywhere, including Twitter, because Morley handles that.
Yes. The latest
the
follower of Jessy Ratfink.
Oh, there we go.
Clampcast.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And we'll see you guys all next week.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
So in case you didn't know, Adam is from Australia. Morley's originally from the States, but he's living in Canada now. I'm from Canada, and you're from the States. So,
Yep, Kentucky and Colorado now.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
In case you didn't know that you were from the States, you're from the States.
I
Well,
am from the States, it's true.
I wanted to verify. Okay, and I was like, "And you're from the States?" Was more a question. Like you live there now, but you could have been born in Norway. I don't know.
Nope. 100% American trailer trash.